Thank you, everybody, for coming to the College Football Betting with Aaron Torres YouTube channel. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. Go ahead, click that subscribe button. It helps our channel grow. It helps our audience grow. I appreciate it more than you know as we're talking college football on this channel year-round. Appreciate your support. Click that subscribe button. Tell you what, our college football preview content is rolling on. Listen, at this point, you know the deal. We've done most of the big programs in the SEC. We've done Bama, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas A&M. If you've missed any of them, go back to YouTube, check them out, team by team, also available on Apple and Spotify. By the way, we'll get to the Big Ten next week, ACC, Big 12, on and on. Today, though, it is the Ole Miss Rebels, or as my wife calls them, Ole Miss. But Lane Kiffin's team, 10 wins a year ago, did it yet again, but it was still a little bit of a disappointing season. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's go back to last year for half a second. I do want to look ahead to this year, but kind of crazy. Listen, we all know the narrative at this time last year. Everything was built for a playoff run in 2024 in this expanded 12-team playoff era. Maybe in the old days, it would be tough for Ole Miss to get into a 4-team field, but you have Jackson Dart coming back. You have Trey Harris coming back. You have a manageable schedule, and you have a 12-team playoff. They added Walter Nolan in the portal. They added Trey Amos, a bunch of other intriguing defensive prospects. And I'll tell you what, through the first 4 games of the season, it looked like they were going to be exactly who we thought they were. 76-0 win over Furman to open the year. 52-3 against Middle Tennessee. 40-6 against Wake Forest. 52-13 against Georgia Southern to start 4-0. Let me do some quick mental math off the top of my head. That is a combined score of 252-22 in the first 4 games. Also, I'm lying. I did not do that off the top of my head, but they did outscore the first 4 opponents 252-22. Problem was, it didn't set them up good. It didn't set them up well. It didn't sound very smart saying that. Didn't set them up well for SEC play. It opens at home against a struggling Kentucky team. But the thing, you can forget about it now, Kentucky to that point had already played 2 SEC games. They had gotten smoked by South Carolina, actually played Georgia very tough at home. They come to Oxford and stun everyone, I think including Kentucky fans, getting the win over Ole Miss. Wild game. Kentucky wins 20-17, but it's the 12-team playoff era, right? Plenty of time to get right. 1 loss isn't going to kill you. You beat South Carolina a week later. Then you go to LSU, and unfortunately, you lose again. So you fall to, at that point, you're sitting there overall at 5-2 overall. You're sitting there wondering, okay, can we do enough over the course of the rest of the season? To your credit, you then proceed to win the next 3 games, including I don't know if it was a stunner, but a statement win against Georgia. You're feeling good. And then, unfortunately, you do lose in the swamp to Florida. DJ Lagway, big game. You end up losing. And from there, I know Lane Kiffin tried to fight as a 9-3 team to get into the playoff, but you don't get in. You have to settle for the bowl game. You do get a nice win over Duke in a bowl game, but it kind of makes you feel like, what if? Because again, that team was really built for the 2024 season. After the season, you lose a ton. Jackson Dart, Trey Harris, Walter Nolan, on and on. But also, Lane Kiffin in true Lane Kiffin fashion, he ain't going to slow down in the portal. And so let's look ahead to this 2025 season ahead. As far as the offense is concerned, listen, we know it's always elite. It's hard to imagine it being much better than a year ago where you were second in the country in yardage, 526 yards per game, 36 points per game. But it doesn't change the fact that I think a lot of people are intrigued to see what Austin Simmons can do. Obviously did not play a ton. It's worth noting, by the way, in the bowl game, Jackson Dart actually played, so Austin Simmons didn't get a ton of run, 19 of 32 passing, 1 TD in limited reps. It is worth noting, though, remember, that first drive of the game, Jackson Dart goes down against Georgia. Austin Simmons looks cool, comfortable, confident, 5 of 6, 64 yards on that opening drive. They end up scoring. I thought that really kind of set the tone for the entire game. And so even though he doesn't have a ton of experience, he doesn't have none, but he will be in at the quarterback spot. Running back spot, you lost both Henry Parrish and also Ulysses Bentley. I think it's interesting, some of the names that have come in. Logan Diggs, who had a big season 2 years ago at Notre Dame. He comes over from LSU. So he was at Notre Dame, goes to LSU last year, was limited by injuries. He's going to get a bunch of carries. Kawan Lacey, former highly rated recruit, transfers in from Missouri. And then, as you can see on the screen, Damian Taylor, very productive at Troy a season ago, over 1,000 yards rushing and 7 TDs. Wide receiver room, it's kind of the same. You lose a lot in Trey Harris, who I believe is with the LA Chargers right now. I think that's going to be a perfect fit. You lose Jordan Watkins to the NFL as well. Caden Lee is back after making 57 catches, 874 yards. Among the big-time additions, Dejon Stribling, of course, from Oklahoma State, 52 catches, 882 yards, 8 touchdowns last season, 51 catches, 5 TDs the year before at Washington State, which, remember, at that time, Washington State was a power conference school. Tight end, you lose Caden Priestcorn, but you add Luke Haas from Arkansas, 26 catches, 4 TDs. Daquan Wright, 27 catches and 4 TDs a season ago. And then the O-line, much like a lot of the rest of the roster, several new names, several key pieces coming in from different places, among them Patrick Kudus from Arkansas. As far as the defense is concerned, listen, I think this is one of the great underrated stories in college football, right? Lane Kiffin is known as this offensive savant. It's easy to forget. Ole Miss was elite on defense a season ago. Now, again, you lost a ton, but we got to give credit where it's due. Number 2 nationally in scoring defense, 14.5 points per game. Number 2 rush defense. Again, a lot of that was Walter Nolan. A lot of that was Princely Amami Ellen. It doesn't change the fact that you were elite. By the way, plus 10 in the turnover margin, led the nation in TFLs. So Pete Golding, who was under a lot of fire in Tuscaloosa, I think did a great job kind of reviving his reputation a season ago at Ole Miss. Problem is, and I know I keep saying it, you got a lot to replace. Okay, so Walter Nolan, first-round pick, Princely Amami Ellen, a bunch of guys are gone. Worth noting, Princewell Umami Ellen comes in. He is one of the high-profile transfers on the defensive end. He comes in from Nebraska a season ago, 2.5 TFLs, half a sack. The year before, though, 4.5 TFLs and 1 sack. Jamarius Brown is back. Xavier Harris is back. And Deshaun Womack comes in from LSU. We'll see who can be a contributor there. Xavier Harris, as you can see on the screen there, probably the biggest returnee on the defensive front. 32 tackles, 4.5 TFLs, 1.5 sacks. Linebacker, Suntarine Perkins. I mean, he is, to me, he's the best player on this defense, right? 60 tackles a year ago. Insane. 14 TFLs, 10.5 sacks as a true sophomore a year ago. Led the team in TFLs and sacks. He is back. Second in Ole Miss single season history with those 10.5 sacks. He will obviously be even better in 2025. TJ Daugherty, 76 tackles, 4.5 TFLs. And then in the secondary, again, you're starting over from scratch. A lot of new names, but it's not as though there is not talent. Headlined by Wydett Williams, as you can see from UL Monroe. 99 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 3 INTs a year ago at UL Monroe. Yet another Arkansas transfer. This is a hot topic on the Fayetteville message boards that Arkansas has basically become a feeder system for Ole Miss. But Jalen Braxton comes in, played in 9 games as a true freshman, dealt with injuries last year, but had 8 PBUs and 1 INT in 2023. Sage Ryan comes in from LSU as well. So a lot of transfers, a lot of new names. Now let's get to the schedule. Schedule to me is very interesting for a number of different reasons. So first of all, remember, what did I say off the top about last year? 4 straight out-of-conference games to open the season where you were not tested. Well, I'll tell you what, it ain't like that in 2025 because in September alone, you play 3 SEC games. 2 of them should be pretty manageable. You open with Georgia State. That's certainly not an SEC game, to be clear for anyone who's confused as to why I'm bringing it up. You then play Kentucky. Obviously, a little bit of a revenge game at Kroger Field in Lexington after you lost to him last year. That feels like one where Lane Kiffin might put up half 100 if he has the chance on Mark Stoops. You then play Ole Miss at home. Intriguing game week 4 against Tulane. I think that's interesting. in between us, I wouldn't call Arkansas a rivalry game, but obviously those two schools have a lot of history. Then LSU the following week. Tulane is no pushover. We know what that coaching staff has done. Remember, Jake Retzlaff, who just won 10 games at BYU, transferred in. He may be the starting quarterback. That is not going to be an easy game against Tulane. And then you have LSU before the bye. So first 5 weeks, 5 games, 3 in the SEC. You come out of it with the rare out-of-conference October game against Washington State. In the SEC, we know you play your out-of-conference games early, maybe very late in the year. They get Washington State in October. And then I think the 3-game stretch that's really going to define this season, at Georgia, at Oklahoma, South Carolina, 3 straight weeks. There's no bye in between. Those are arguably the 3, you can't really say that with LSU on the schedule, but 3 of the toughest games that you are going to have, 3 of the 4 for sure. And then you close, you do have Florida at home, another pseudo revenge game, and the Egg Bowl, Mississippi State to end the year. By the way, Mississippi State off the bye as well. Couple interesting notes on that schedule. Let's see here. From October 11th through November 15th, you play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight games. So late in the year, most SEC teams have at least one bye in October. Ole Miss has theirs, I guess, technically the first week of October, but they play 6 straight games, but they will have a bye before the Egg Bowl. I think counter to that, some positives and negatives. I think it's really interesting. The 2 SEC games early, but if you look closely, how about this? They don't play SEC games in more than 3 consecutive weeks. That's kind of crazy. So you play 2, you get Tulane. You play 1, you get Washington State. You play 3, you get the Citadel. You close with 2. Just in this league where so many teams, as I said, play 2, 3, maybe even 4 out-of-conference games to start the year, maybe 1 late, they don't have more than 3 straight SEC games. I'll give you an example. Oklahoma, for example, they have 7 straight SEC games at one point in the schedule. Ole Miss does not play more than 3 in a row, which to me, again, I think is at minimum very intriguing. At maximum, if you got to play 8 games, catch a little bit of a break. All right, over-under win total. Let's look at it this via DraftKings Sportsbook. The over-under win total is 8.5. I got to be real. I know what Lane Kiffin's history is. I know that in 3 of the last 4 seasons, he has won at least 10 games when factoring in bowl games. I think 8 to 9 feels about right. And I would lean under on this one right now. Now, it's interesting. I believe this one either opened at 9 or 9.5. And it's been bet down. And I think it's been justifiably bet down. Matt, you could pop up the schedule again. I know the schedule isn't brutal, especially by SEC standards. You don't have that super marquee out-of-conference game. You think about some of these SEC teams. Alabama's playing Florida State and Wisconsin. South Carolina plays Clemson. Florida plays Miami. Arkansas plays Notre Dame. Texas A&M plays Notre Dame. LSU plays at Clemson. You don't have that brutal out-of-conference game. But I just think, look at all of these games, and you're telling me, basically, you're going to have to go to hit the 8.5. You're either going to have to beat Florida, probably South Carolina, or LSU. Now, you beat LSU the last time they came there. They had Jaden Daniels. You had Jackson Dart. At Georgia's tough. At Oklahoma's tough. Even South Carolina with Lenora Sellers. It's just, listen, let me put it this way. Ole Miss fans, if you're going to fight me that I say you can go 8-4, I totally get it. You're coming off 3 seasons out of 4 where you have 10-plus wins. I just wouldn't feel great about it given the schedule. Now, a couple benefits here, right? One, you play Florida late in the year. Now, I want to be clear on this. As we're recording, we found out that we're right around the start of camp. DJ Lagway is in a boot as of right now. So who the heck knows what's going on there? He has not proven an ability to stay healthy. You also, LSU, kind of a weird September for them. You get them at home after they've already played Florida at home and at Clemson. So you can see the breaks on the schedule. But there's something that doesn't quite sit right with everything that you lost. I mean, think about this. You lost your quarterback, first-round pick, 2 best running backs, 2 best wide receivers, best tight end, most of your O-line, first-round defensive line. There's just a lot that has been lost. So I trust Lane Kiffin. I would lean under on this one. I just don't feel great about it. All right, I'll tell you what. I think that's it for this episode of College Football Betting with Aaron Torres. Not going to lie, I've been yelling for like the last hour. I think my neighbor's about to kill me, so we better get out of here. If you're not subscribed to College Football Betting with Aaron Torres, please make sure to do so. Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Music, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, the College Football Betting YouTube channel. We really do appreciate your support as we have surpassed 1,000 subscribers there. But we need to get more. We need to keep rolling. We need to keep the content coming. So if you are not following us there, please make sure to find us and let's keep the party going. So what we're going to do, we're going to come back when we do next episode. I'm thinking we might go Big Ten. Do we go Ohio State? Do we go Michigan and Bryce Underwood? Do we go Penn State? A lot of pressure at Penn State. We'll figure it out next. But we'll probably switch off of the SEC. Maybe 1 or 2 more SEC episodes. Maybe South Carolina at some point. But we got some more teams to preview. That's next, College Football Betting.